Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's exciting session where we are going to covering two leading AI technologies and DeepSeek AI. And this is the only one company that has been impacted billions or trillions dollar of the economy of the USA in a single day. Like 15% of the Nvidia stock market has been crashed due to only this single project. So this is very important topic that we have to talk about on this and see how the things are shifting. And this event is going to cover everything from technology, real world impact, concern, and future advancement. So, myself, Deepak Chawla, I'm a founder and CEO of the HiDevs, and I join with my co host along with our expert speaker, Kamalika Porter. Okay, so I think thank you so much, Kamalika. So, you can just go with your introduction.
I think the first thing I would say in my introduction is that I'm no expert. Like everyone here, I think even I'm someone who's extremely curious about AI and what is happening in the world of technology with so much of AI coming in and what really that means for all of us in our day-to-day life, in our professional spheres, personal interactions that we have with people, and where do we draw the boundary really with being over reliant on AI versus having that human element in the entire conversation present? So I think that's kind of where I come from. But professionally, if I had to talk about myself, I've spent all my life starting back at 2012 building fintech products. So really that's been my niche. But yes, a lot of what's happening today, we are seeing kind of AI taking over lot of roles. So yes, very excited to be here. By the way, before we get started, Deepak, just want to quickly check in. We are recording this, right?
Yeah. We are recording it. So, as you can see, Deepak AI note taker is there.
Yeah.
So,
Note takers there. Perfect.
yeah, so everything is recording. Yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, that's where AI can be a helper again.
Yeah, that's why. So that's what that I'm keep on saying in my workshop and everywhere. So don't feel that AI is going to be kill your job and that is going to be kill your career and whatever. No, AI can be your friend and like healthy friend. So that's depend on you as well how well that you are treating your friend. So that's the same way that we are treating the human. The good way that you treat, the good way that you get. So that's the simple thing that AI also give you. So yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Lovely, lovely thought. But yes.
So yeah. So let's start by discussing the core technologies because things always work from the technology and start from the technology. So
Yeah.
what do you think, Ganalika, ki what are the major difference between the Chat GPT and DeepSeek AI? Like due to that, the most of the things has been changed, and everyone, like even the newspaper, which don't know about the much the AI, they are also talking about this particular model. So what the difference, major difference between this AI architecture and models?
So, okay, before we get into the architectural model, I think we'll have to discuss about why this has been in the news so much, because that's also a very interesting aspect. And the biggest reason why DeepSeek kind of had this huge surge in demand. So, by the way, DeepSeek has been around for a long while. Like I was using the DeepSeek V3 model from late November, early December, I think last year. And from what I know, it's been around for a very, very long while, even before that. But the reason why suddenly there was this huge explosion of people talking about DeepSeek was one, this was practically free to use. Whereas if you see all other AI tools that are there, be it OpenAI's ChatGPT, Claude, all of them require you beyond a particular limit to pay for usage. And $20 for a lot of Indians is a lot of money to spend. So something like a DeepSeek coming up, which is completely free, that was definitely one of the reasons why people were so gung ho about DeepSeek and why there was so much of chatter around DeepSeek. But the other reason is also that the reason they could offer it for something as low as zero point 0.7 for million token, $0.7 for about a million tokens, it's insane, right? That's also because the model cost for R3 was super low. It took them only 5 billion to train the entire model, to build and train this entire model. But and we'll get into this because there is a lot of hype around it, a little bit of facts, a little bit of a lot of storytelling around it. Of course, it is significantly still lower in cost when compared to all other AI models that are there, which have spent upwards of 200, 180, 200 billion dollars into just training and building their models. And here you have one particular relatively new kid on the block from China, while all the other AI models have all been from the Western countries, which is offering it to you at a fraction of the cost, yet beating all benchmark studies that are there of comparative AI models. So I think that was one of the biggest reasons why we saw this huge explosion happening about people talking about DeepSeek. In fact, on 26, it was very frustrating because a month and a half of, 2 months of using DeepSeek very happily for all of my coding tasks, suddenly I just could not access the API anymore. So that's the kind of, they just could not keep up with the demand over there. So that is, we'll take a quick pause on the hype behind it and kind of get down into what was there, and at a very high level, a little bit of the technical innovations that went in that could help DeepSeek kind of lower those costs. So I think the first thing was the way that they trained it, which was a model known as mixture of experts. And what this means is you will have, and this literally mimics how the real world works, right? Most large language models, what they do is they try to make sure that all of the knowledge that every kind of expert has, like a doctor, within doctors also, neurosurgeons versus anesthetists versus, lawyers and engineers and all of those, they would try to take all of the knowledge base from all of these experts, train their large language models in order to make sure that any question that you ask, all of these experts' idea is there in order to help you come up with the output, which meant that they had to train the data, the large language models on a huge amount of data. It needed a lot of compute power to do that, and it was obviously operationally intensive and also cost intensive, right? Now DeepSeek decided they're not going to do that. They're going to follow something known as mixture of experts,
Okay.
which means that if you need something for a coding task, you don't need all of the, I don't know, 300 billion parameters that are there, which are necessary for a psychology expert maybe. So that way they could kind of ensure that every small model, every small expert that they had was being independently trained, and that resulted, and then they kind of, we'll get into the distillation and the reinforcement learning architectures that they use that kind of help them to then later on build out such a powerful reasoning model over there. And they also, because they were not training all of their LLMs on huge parameters of data, everything was being chunked down. It also helped in reducing the resources that were being utilized. So that's kind of,
Got it.
yeah.
That's totally makes sense. And one more thing that I want to add here. So, the inventor of the DeepSeek mostly believe on the mathematics. Okay,
Yep.
and they have been done a lot of thing in the mathematics rather than on the data side. They keep
Absolutely.
the algorithm in a such a way that with the low data, or as we can say the limited resources, the mathematics formulas can able to train themselves on the data side or the whatever the architecture that they have been built. So after that they will able to take a good resources. Okay.
So I'm not going to get into the maths because honestly, I tried reading the PDF that they put up on their GitHub. It was a little too intensive for me. But
Yeah.
at a very high level, let's just try this experiment, okay? Uh, if I tell you that you have to count numbers with just one hand, how many numbers do you think we can count?
Numbers in sense of like
Just numbers, one, two, three. Up to how much can we count with just one hand?
oh, I think 15 is there.
Okay. Anyone else? With just one hand,
Okay.
you just have one hand and you have to
Okay.
count. Till how much will you be able to count?
Oh, till how much? So that's the infinity, I think, because that's totally depend on how much that you can go upon your
You can only
efforts.
use your hand, only one hand, and you have to
Yeah,
count.
So
How will you do it?
I will keep on repeating 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
How will
10.
you keep track if it's gone to 6? With just one hand, how will you keep track of it? You just have this one hand and nothing else. No pen, no paper, no memory, nothing. Just this one hand. How would you go about doing it? Any other ideas? Still, how much do you think we can count with just our fingers,
No,
on one hand?
that's interesting, I think.
Any idea? What's the
Maybe
Yeah, sorry, go for it.
maybe like 15 to 20.
Okay. Any other ideas?
Yeah, I will use my fingers, but some marks will be there, right? Based on that, I will count 1, 2, 3, something like for each
So
and every
let's say
fingers.
let's say we count each of the ridges. In that
Yeah.
case, it's 5 into 4, which is 20. Can we expand that? Can we stretch that out a little more? And let's use maths for this. Let's use very clever mathematics for this. Any idea? So Soumya's bid is at 20,
Yes,
and that
yes.
is counting all of the ridges,
At
which is the
at
highest.
one time we can count 20 in
Yep,
single bow.
correct. What
But
if I told you with just our 5 fingers, we can
okay.
count up to 32? And that is all on the basis of mathematics, which is exactly what DeepSeek did. They decided to use the same resources that everyone else had access to, but layered it with very clever mathematics that made sure that instead of just counting, 20 with their 5 fingers, they were able to count up to 32. Now, how were they doing that? Any guesses? So, how many of you know how to read binary?
18,
Yeah,
18 twos, right?
32.
32.
How many of you know to read binary?
Yeah, we know.
How many fingers do we have in our hands?
5.
2 to the power of 5 is?
32. Yeah, that's
So,
so
this is 0, this is 1.
yeah.
This is 2, this is 3, this is 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on and so forth. You get the point, right?
Yeah.
So I've used my same 5 fingers. Soumya was smart enough to kind of use the ridges of our fingers to figure that out, which got her to 20. But I used binary, just zeros and ones, to count on my fingers, and that helped me to reach up to 32. Now, if I expanded that up to my 10 hands, I could actually do 1024 with this. So that is the kind of mathematics that DeepSeek has tried to do at the back end in order to make sure that, and it was honestly, I think a lot of it came from the fact that the founders of DeepSeek, he doesn't really come from a very traditional computer science background. He has more of a hedge fund background where they always have to deal with a lot of numbers and figure out clever ways to make numbers work for them in ways that others have not thought of it. So I really think it was a culmination of his background in being in the hedge fund industry for so long and seeing a lot up close what a lot of these big AI models were doing, and then just flip the script on that and decide that, okay, we're not using those maths. We're going to use something a lot more different. Of course, I don't have that background in stats to kind of get into the complexities of it. I wish I did. Do hope that, by the end of the next month, I do have a better understanding of the maths behind it. But yes, it does seem a huge leap in terms of the way that they thought of using resources and the compute that you could do on top of it.
Got it. No,
Yeah.
so yeah. Got
Moving to accuracy and reliability, how do both models ensure their responses are accurate?
So here is where I think a lot of the reinforcement learning that DeepSeek did comes into play. So they used the way to train their model. Of course, one was mixture of experts that we just spoke about a while ago, but they also used something known as distillation, and there's a lot of ethical concerns around that. But okay, we'll come to that later on. But what distillation essentially does is, let's say you are building out, I don't know, 600 billion parameter large language model, and you have smaller models like the open source Gwen 1.5 billion model, the Gwen 70 billion model, the Llama, I think it's 50 billion model. I don't remember exactly, but you have a
no,
lot of these
70,
small.
405. There are multiple.
Yeah,
Llama.
405. Llama has the 405 model as well. So you have a lot of these models which are smaller in size than the model that you are trying to build, and you keep training your model on top of all of this. So you're using, and all of these, by the way, are open source projects. So they could kind of train their model to kind of make sure that their throughput is as accurate as these for the tasks that these were very specifically known to beat other benchmarks in. So that was where the mixture of experts came in. That was where, and this was what distillation was all about, where you're using a smaller model to train your model, and then comes the reinforcement learning, So this was this. It was very funny when I first started using DeepSeek. I think this was the end of November 2024. I'm not exactly sure, but at that point in time, I'd asked DeepSeek a question as to what is DeepSeek and how are you, like, who are you? I didn't ask you what is DeepSeek, but I asked you who are you and what do you like. What do I call you? And you could see that the reinforcement learning was actually happening from OpenAI because it kind of hallucinated and believed that it was OpenAI and told me that, hey, I'm ChatGPT, blah blah blah, and I was like, okay, this is interesting, and that's when I was later reading and I read that they used a lot of reinforcement learning. So it's like a typical, whenever you have any experts coming in, what's the best way for you to check if that expert's knowledge is something that you've been able to distill? Through examinations, right? Someone checks your work. So they were checking their work, whatever, the model that they had trained, against the outputs from ChatGPT, Claude, and all of those closed source models, and then feeding it back as a reinforcement self-learning to the underlying model in order to make sure that its throughput and accuracy kept getting better and better. So it was very interesting to see, how it was evolving, like back before it became a huge thing. So yes, and that actually, I think that's one of the beauties of the entire mixture of experts model, because think of it like your classroom program, right? You have a bunch of professors who come and teach you, and each of them are subject matter experts in their own area. So the mixture of expert makes sure that you're getting access to each of them and they're telling you the best parts of their profession, so the deepest key insights of their profession to their students. So yeah, that's kind of how they used reinforcement learning, as well as it was a machine learning algorithm at the end of the day, to make sure that the output from these and the output from them were matching as close as possible to ensure the accuracy of it.
Totally
Like
right.
maybe how do they handle situations when they provide incorrect information?
That is an interesting question, and so this is also where I think we should take the entire 5 billion to train DeepSeek it with a little bit of pinch of salt, because a lot of the V1, V2, V3 versions, which were the precursors of DeepSeek R1, they were trained using a lot of user inputs also whenever they were going wrong, in order to figure out that, okay, this train of my self-learning route did not lead to the right answer, or the user who was prompting me had to ask for it again in a different way, for them to then keep on using those layers on top of it in order for them to come up with the final outcome, which, when we looked at the reasoning model and we could see how it was thinking through the various stages, it really blew our minds away, because it felt like a real human was there at the back of this.
Got it. So how they are going to be managed then data privacy? Because as we know, China, like always be like, if we talk about like communist mindset, okay, and they work into the like they have the boundary in their like the whole country, that no data will be come into the
Yep.
country, no data will be go out of the country. So there are a lot of things like we know about the China. So how that companies are going to trust? I can understand that you can just download it and just put it onto your server, so you don't have to worry about it. But still the other countries like USA is banning that no need to be used the deep seek AI. So what do you think, like why is happening? And it will be due to the people has been like fear that DeepSeek is going to be describe the other things as well. So what's the major reason, do you think on this?
So this is very recent news that I read. I think it was just on Wednesday morning that I read this, where some users had found out. Actually, these are some very expert researchers who had found out that DeepSeek does, in fact, give a lot of the user data back to ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok,
Yeah,
whose data servers all reside in China. And the problem with Chinese companies is that the Chinese law mandates that if the government wants access to some or all of their data,
they
they're
have to be.
required to give it to it.
Yeah,
Which is why even in India, for that matter, while the government has come up with this entire India AI initiative, and it's a great initiative for all of you here, to kind of check it out, because they're not only coming up with the governance policy and all of those, but they're coming up with very interesting use cases for us to use AI, build AI from India for India. So they've kind of identified use cases where you can use AI, and they're calling out smart engineers like yourself to kind of go and help build for India. But that said, despite having such a forward-thinking initiative, the government of India still within public offices has banned the usage of DeepSeek for sure, but even OpenAI for that matter. And the reason is because you don't want a lot of the sensitive information that you work on to kind of be on a server somewhere in China where the government can then ask for that data to be shared with them. And the same kind of applies to even us when we are doing a lot of work that involves a lot of confidentiality. With such a clause, it becomes extremely difficult for us to know what to trust, what not to trust. Of course, OpenAI, if you have the premium subscription, allows for you to make a lot of the searches private, in which
Yeah.
case the data does not get relayed back to their servers. But even then, DeepSeek currently does not have something like that. So that opens up a huge wormhole of whether the data, like I use it on my personal capacity for my personal productivity, and it does help a lot. But if you are working on something extremely sensitive, it's extremely dicey to be using something. While it is open source, if you are using their APIs, you never know how your data, and even you might just think that it's just, the way that I prompt the LLM to get some answers. But you never know how that could possibly be used against you. A better way to do it is, and nowadays we see that I don't know if there are any GPU as a service Indian companies, but I'm sure they will come up in the near future. So the better way to do it would be to actually, back to what Deepak you were saying, is to kind of, because it's an open sourced code, you download it onto your GPU as a service provider's environment, and then you run it over there, because that also means, but you'll also have to be careful that you are turning off internet access, because you don't want it to accidentally then go and kind of write all of the user backdoor to kind of accidentally write into there.
So like a Trojan horse.
Exactly. You never know, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
So we have to just check out the whole code. Ki whatever that we are doing is not giving back to the somewhere else as well. So yeah. So now to the like, there's one more point that has been going to be connect with the, if we talk about the data privacy. So there are the few industries which are very relatable, like, and very concerned about the data privacy and all these
Yeah.
things. So what I thought of, and key top three industries are there: healthcare, finance, and education.
Yep.
In these three industries, we not able to compromise.
Correct.
Okay, we have to be just make sure ourselves very comfortable and very take a very measurable like solutions for the any issue that we have to be take. So how do you think like people are going to be adapt DeepSeek? And here I have, like, not only the DeepSeek is open source, okay, but ChatGPT is not open source.
Yep.
Total black box. We don't know what's happening inside it.
Yeah.
Okay, like a magical person. उसके बाद है, वो कुछ लेके आता है, मैजिक करता है, that's it. Okay, we don't know what's happening inside that. Okay, so
Absolutely.
if you talk about the llama, so I'm the biggest fan of the llama. Whatever they have been done,
Yeah.
and after
Yeah.
llama, Mistral. That's
Yeah.
again, this is the two top model that we are using in our company as well. And if you talk about the Gemini, so also Gemini is like the
It's
greatest.
another black box. Yeah. It's free,
Yeah,
but it's not open sourced or open
it's
weight. So
open.
yeah.
It's like we know about the Google because Google is like so known in the market. Okay, we know. आप चाहो नहीं चाहो उसके बाद data है. That's not in your control. So what your like thoughts on this particular different set of the models? How we can be drive in that direction to the different industries?
So essentially, there's three broad categories if you had to talk about, right? There's one which is the entire closed box, which is what OpenAI is. Then there are open weights, where they say that these are the list of attributes that we use, and these are kind of the weights that we use. And finally, there's open source, where the entire code that they've used, that entire code base is available for you to download and deploy anywhere. So those are like broadly three environments. Now with AI distillation coming into play, I think, uh, and it makes me feel a little sad about it also thinking of it. But I really think it's going to become very hard for all of these open weight companies to kind of sustain. One, because a lot of them are small models, which means that something theoretically, something like a DeepSeek could actually keep using them and reiterating and working on the. You start with their base of weights. You use the distillation process to figure out what the output is. Reinforced learning from, I don't know, an open AI or a Anthropic or whatever it is, to then arrive at a value of the weights that gives a better and more accurate result than what was previously possible. So is there an incentive now really to kind of build these open weights model? I absolutely don't think so. So the second thing that is there is on the open source models. We will definitely, and I'm hoping that we see a lot of open source models that use this reinforcement learning and distillation learning, mixture of experts, whatever it is that DeepSeek has put out there over there, and they build open source models from India because it's so vitally important that we help the Indian ecosystem reduce the cost and make AI a lot more accessible. So that's kind of where I think a lot more focus is shifting towards for two broad reasons. One of it is more from a business lens, which is that for at least the last 2.5 years, the conversation in the deep tech AI space has also been that we've spent, hundreds, 200s, 300s of dollars, 300 millions dollars on just training these models. But now it's time to start generating ROI. And 2025, I think it's been predicted to be the year for a lot of these AI models to start generating ROI. But with DeepSeek coming in, it opens up that entire environment that, even with a model that's not that expensive for us to train, we can definitely start generating those ROIs. So that I think is what a lot of these open source companies are going to try to replicate now. And I hope that we have a few from India as well that do that. So yes, but that said, simply because of the deep pockets and I would say the enterprise reach that companies like Anthropic and OpenAI have, I think it's going to be very, very hard to completely replace them. I don't think that will happen yet. But 5 years down the line, who knows? Maybe we'll have AI that's fully open sourced and reached like artificial general intelligence. You never know.
Got it. Got it. No, I think that's that's totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, like focusing on the real world impact. Can you share us some examples like whether it's ChatGPT or a DeepSeek AI? How has been successfully applied to solve a real world problem?
I don't even know if I should be talking about this, but just today morning I was at this event, again another AI event, uh, where they were sharing images, and it did. While I see a huge potential for it, it did scare me because the images were those of mammographic scans, and the AI was then able to find anomalies within that scan. And it was able to do it within a matter of few seconds of having just uploaded that image onto the model. Now, the good thing is, of course, that previously doctors would, spend a few hours
Yeah.
waiting for the report, then another few, like 10 to 15 minutes, reading through, like kind of deciphering that report, and then spend probably 5 to 10 minutes in with the patient to kind of diagnose and take them through the possible treatment. Of course, with AI churning this out within a few minutes, it's going to reduce that time. It's going to make it so that doctor patients are spending a lot more time in understanding what the solution or the treatment is in case of cancer. But it also opens up a huge can of worms that previously this scan, the report was just between you, your doctor, and maybe the person who took your mammogram. Nobody else outside of this circle knew that you were potentially going to be fighting breast cancer. Now imagine if that data gets updated into the cloud, and imagine if that kind of gets compromised. That really scares me because, especially in India, while we are still working out the entire DPDP Act, for it to be implemented, I think it's going to take, and for it to be enforced, not implemented, but for it to be enforced, it's going to take a much longer time. And India is just one country, right? There are a lot of other countries that don't even have the concept of privacy. Now, what does that mean for all of our data being hosted on all of these servers? And imagine tomorrow, I'm sure all of you have used Perplexity also. And I don't know if you've noticed it, but Perplexity also does kind of very gently nudge us with ads in between, even though you
Yeah,
might not have asked something very directly about that. They kind of put it out in their
yeah,
search results.
yeah,
But imagine tomorrow if you are searching for something and then they start giving you, that to prevent breast cancer, this is what you do. It's very uncomfortable for anyone to face that kind of a situation, right? That's the one thing that scares me. But yes, on the potential upsides of it, I do see a lot of reducing the time to kind of get the diagnosis out, and so spending a lot of time in preparing for what the treatment would be and all of those, which is definitely a good side. Coming to my industry, which is the fintech industry, already AI, a lot of, and these are not the large language model AIs, these are very small and specific use case language models that are out there. There've already been a lot of good implementation of AI. For example, end of 2023, or I think beginning of 2024, HSBC and Google had come out with an announcement that they'd successfully used AI to reduce basically for their fraud detection. Yeah.
yes, got it.
And the interesting thing about fraud detection is, and this is actually for anything that uses the confusion matrix, you deal with two kinds of errors. One is the type 1 error or the alpha, and the type
Okay.
2 errors or the betas.
Yeah.
Now, the plot is to always reduce type 1 while ensuring type 2 goes through properly.
Yeah.
Because if you're not letting type 2 go through, type 2 is basically where you're thinking something is a fraud, but it is a legit transaction and you're stopping them. Whereas type 1 are the actual kinds of frauds that you've let through on your system. So you always want to reduce type 1, but make sure that type 2 is not that high. Now, these two thresholds are always at a dichotomy with each other. It's like a fulcrum, you can say. But what they found with AI was that they could actually go beyond that confusion matrix and make sure that the fulcrum, like you were balancing it out so well that the type 2 errors had come down to, I think they had said the false positive hits that they had over there was less than about 8%. And that's the first time we've seen single digit false positive transactions reduced to. And they were able to stop 97% of all fraud transactions.
That
So
is
that I
great.
think it's just going to get better with time.
Totally agree. Yeah. So here, so in the last year in the month of the June, I was in the USA for the 1 month. Okay, so because I have to start my company, like the High Devs. So, like as we are currently building the world largest generative AI workforce.
Nice,
So
congrats.
yeah, so everyone is talking about the AI. Everyone want to build the AI. Everyone,
Yeah.
including product based, service based, and
Yeah.
nowadays the AI has been begun in a such a way that nowadays any company can be work it. Okay, doesn't matter it's the technological department or not. Legacy companies like all industries also using the AI. Okay, so
Yeah.
what I thought of, why not just put our head into the building any tool rather than just build the people in the AI.
Nice.
They will able to know, if they will able to know the AI, then they will able to do the things. So that's what
Nice.
my mission, that by 2030 that we are going to give the 10 million plus AI engineer to the world. So yeah, so to validate this idea I went US,
Ah.
because I know this is not going to be validated in India. No, I'm totally no, because people have to this think. Currently, they are just using the tools, they are building the agents, but the US is very fast speed currently. So at the conferences and events, a lot will be. And now I will ask you the future development about the AGI. What do you think about the AI?
I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know, and it scares me. One, because well, Elon Musk is known to be someone who's a little, on your face. But a lot of times he's kind of said that, oh yeah, OpenAI is lying about AGI. They've already
Yeah,
achieved it and stuff like that. But not just that, I've been, like I said, I've been using AI in my personal productivity as well. And honestly, I can say that a lot of my tasks that I do today can be done very easily by a well-trained AI over there. So it just needs access to my knowledge base, which by the way is not too hard to get. You just have to make sure you have access to the right resources,
I agree.
and it can take all the decisions that I do as well. In fact, recently the CEO of Klarna, by the way, for context, Klarna is a fintech company. It's one of the oldest BNPL companies, digital BNPL companies that's been around. And in 2022, they were in the news big time because they'd let go of almost 50% of their staff and replaced them with AI. So the biggest hit was obviously on the customer success and the call centers over there. And they've not revamped that team for the last 3 years. They're still continuing with the same workforce. And recently, when he appeared in an interview, he said that he feels depressed nowadays because so much of his task is actually being done by AI. So, yes, even the CEO's job is replaceable by AI. But that said, I think the one thing that I did take back from that entire interview was that what Sebastian mentioned was that he was now able to spend a lot of time with his one down army and make
Yeah.
sure that he's able to distill his vision a lot closely to them. In his own words, he was able to spend more time in building an army of mini hymns. So that I think is one thing for a lot of leaders to look forward to. But will we have an AI CEO in the future? Quite possible.
So here I will add a few things about me. So I already built my own clone.
Nice. Nice. So did you do this using 11 Labs and HeyGen, or like what did you do it on?
So basically, currently it is on the chatbot on our
Ah,
platform. Name is
nice.
Deepak. Okay, and I put my all mentorship data, whatever I have been learned, everything. So any student can come and ask whatever they want to do in their life, because I have been mentored 2000 plus students till now, and from the first student, I am recording every session because I know
Ah,
what I'm going to do in the next 10 years. So I always uh, running my thoughts like what I'm going to do in next 2 to 3 years. So that's why I keep on do the things according to that. So I will able to make the that particular point or dot to the next point or dot, so I can connect it easily. So I always run
so
in a
guys, for everyone else on the call, if Deepak's not answered any of your question, you should definitely check out the
yeah.
chatbot then.
So and it's currently working very well. It's giving very good answers and all these things. Now we built one more thing, agent force.
Okay.
Okay, so what the agent force is doing currently? So we have the master agent. Now I am giving my thoughts into a Excel sheet.
Ah,
I'm putting the all thoughts into the Excel sheet, and that sheet is synced by the master agent.
yeah.
And master agents has the ability think, reason, react, and action.
Nice.
And that have the five other agent which is connected to the master agent. And that agents content creation, research, LinkedIn post, Twitter post.
Amazing. That's a workflow that I think a lot of us have been, kind of trying to build.
Yeah.
So Deepak, I'm just so happy to see that you're not just talking about the talk, but you're walking the talk as
Yeah.
well. Thank you so
Because
much.
yeah, I love to build the things rather than just putting. I totally hate Steamlit POCs. I totally hate. I don't like it. I like put the code into server. If
Yeah.
whatever you have been done and put it live, jo hoga we'll see. No issue in that. So that's what that we done, and sooner we are going to do the proper webinar to how we do what we do and all these things.
It's
And
amazing.
one more thing that we are experimenting, we are developing my own clone. So whatever the news is coming, so within 30 minutes we will able to create a video on that without keeping me in that video as
I
a
tried
speaker.
doing that with, so I used a combination of HeyGen and 11 Labs. Uh,
Okay,
the only reason I stopped doing it, so I played around with like, 3, 4 videos.
okay,
Then I started feeling so guilty about it because while the thoughts were all mine and, whatever ideas I was putting out were all mine, but I just felt like I was being so inauthentic. Like the reason I've built a followership on LinkedIn is simply because people are used to seeing me, not like the perfect dolled up version of me, which was what my air clone looked like. It was me with my bare thoughts, on your face, kind of insights and my own biases that are there. which kind of was not there when I was playing around with these AI tools. So I then decided that, okay, it's good to use AI in certain areas, but it's also very, I think that's what AI is teaching us, right? Like, what are the values that we hold really core? And to me, being able to talk to my community was something that was very core to me. So yeah, I drew the line kind of there on
No, no,
using AI
you
for
are
myself.
totally right. You are totally right. But our agenda is like very like clear that we have to be trained at least 10 million by 2030. So in that case, I have to build my own clone
Yeah,
because I'm not going to be available at the everywhere.
absolutely.
So currently I'm doing the workshop in the Bangalore. I did a workshop in the two colleges. So if I will go there, so that will give the much
Done.
more impact rather than on the digital media or the social.
Absolutely.
So that's what that I thought of. Ki if I will save my time to put the content over there on the social media, so the with the help of the any tool. So if I save time over there, then I will just take that time and put it physically available, and I will go and interact at least 100 people for the 3 days. So that will give the much more impact.
Exactly. So you're able to prioritize that because you're
Yeah,
using AI for your social media. So yeah, that absolutely makes sense.
yeah. So that's what. Yeah. So now the last question. Costing and efficiency, costing, latency, and accuracy. I think this is the three things that every company is concerned about currently.
All right. How costing? I think we already spoke a lot about it
Yeah.
when we were talking about,
No, there's
5
a
billion.
trade-off. There's a trade-off, na. If you will compromise the cost, you have to compromise the accuracy as well.
So if you
Some,
okay, so and there's another trade off also, which is your data security, data privacy.
yeah, yeah.
So there are these angles that you have to play. So this is the way that I think of it, right? Let's say you have an idea, you're not sure if this idea is going to work or not, but you want to really quickly, rapidly build it out and build it out, not spending too much of hour, too much of time, too much of money on it, and then you just want to test it. I think that is where a lot of these cheaper models can help you, because when you are testing out an idea, your first idea is never really going to be a big hit. You're
Agree.
always going to have to iterate a lot on it. And when it is your first idea that you're putting out there, it's going to have very few people with whom you'll fail. So you've not yet really built that much of a reputation in the market for you to lose any of that value over there. But let's say that you've crossed out of that minimum viable product phase, you've found some sense of a product fitment, and you're seeing rapid, accelerated growth happening. This is where it becomes so easy for customers to lose trust in you. And this is
Agree.
exactly where I would suggest moving away from, what served you before this, that was the cheaper open source models like DeepSeek. And if you feel that AI is still, center and crucial to the business that you run or the product that you're building, then start investing in something that actually helps you to either run your models locally, takes care of the security aspect of it so that they're not training any of their future models using your data, your proprietary data. And at that point in time is where you should start considering taking in the costs, just because, trust me, and this again comes from having built fintech products in the past, when customers lose trust in you, and that takes barely even 5 seconds for that to happen,
Agree.
rebuilding that trust
It's
takes
very tough.
almost 10x the amount that you
You have
spent in
to
building
try.
your brand up till there.
Agree.
So yeah.
So there's one saying that my grandfather and all the my like senior, super senior family members saying, it will took you 100 years to build the image, and it will
Yeah,
take 10 seconds to ruin that image.
absolutely.
So that's actually happening in the the user area as well. So yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's a lot faster and a lot wider in the user area because of internet proliferation nowadays.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's it from my side. Now, audience, if you have any questions, please go ahead.
Yes, please feel free to ask any questions.
Don't think that you have to ask only related to the whatever that we have been taught. You can ask your doubts, yeah, whatever that you have in your mind. If you are in the field of the AI currently and want to explore something on that.
Absolutely. And there are no wrong questions either. I mean,
Yeah,
we're all learning here together.
Yeah.
So any question you guys ask is probably going to help us also learn better.
Questions?
By the way, I must appreciate everyone here for spending the entire Saturday evening with us, geeking out about AI. I think that's a huge, huge commitment from all of you as well.
Yeah.
So yes, congrats for that.
Yeah. 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 Totally agree.
Yes, a question from my end. I mean, can we use this DeepSeek from, I mean, by logging into it? It is restricted, right? I think we can't use it, right? If we need to check also.
I had set up my account a long time back, but are they still not letting people log on? Is that what you're saying, Soumya?
Yes, I think.
So
Maybe
there
I'm
are
not.
a few workarounds. There are
Mhm.
still a few workarounds for that. So when, for example, when DeepSeek's APIs went down, and I was really loving using V3 APIs because it was so good at coding tasks. The alternative that I used was to go top up a few credits on OpenRouter. So OpenRouter is basically it helps you to consolidate a lot of other AI tools as well, and you can then you can either chat with DeepSeek model as well over there on OpenRouter, or you could alternatively also get the API keys, use that in your code as well, but point it to the URL of the DeepSeek URL that is present on OpenRouter.
By using my question here is by using Chat GPT, we can create our
Not on
own.
ChatGPT. So let me just see if my open router is open anywhere. No, it's not. Okay, let's
No,
open
no, no,
open
no.
router.
Here, can we create our own APIs? That is my question. And we
Absolutely. So I will take you through the one sec. Let me just share my screen over here.
is there similar playground, similar what we will
Yes.
have? Uh-huh.
Yes, absolutely. Deepak, can I share my screen for a
Yeah.
quick
Yeah.
second?
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I stop it.
So let's go in here. Can you see this screen of mine?
Yes, yes.
So I
Yeah.
think they can use the Grok as well.
Grok is also there. So here, as you see, I topped up like some $30. I've still not used it all up. You can go
Uh-huh.
into API keys and you can create your keys over here.
Okay.
So you can
That
already
means
do
we need
that.
to see. We need to act. I mean, pay for it.
Yes, you do. All of these for the API usage, all of their this thing is paid for. Uh, so yes, for the but it's much cheaper. I'm forgetting where the pricing page is. If you see the API for 8K tokens, you're barely even charged. Like I said, right? I put in $30 and I've been extensively using it, and I've still barely even like scratched through $10 of it. Versus if I had to take say a Chat GPT premium subscription for a month, and I have, you have to pay $200 for that. So it's a huge marked difference in the cost over there. That said, this is another way. Let's say that you are not able to log into your OpenAI. Where is it? This is OpenRouter, which is another
Yes.
alternative that you could use.
Unshared.
I'm not able to see your screen.
See your
Yeah.
screen.
So this is OpenRouter, and here basically you have all of the latest models that are there. You can choose a model that you want to browse on, use on the basis of, there are lots of filters also. Let's say you want to use one for just coding tasks, then it'll give you like the list of models that are the best for coding, your coding pals and all of those, versus anything. So here, if you want to use, you can use DeepSeek. Again, here you'll have to also top up with a few credits, but you don't burn through the credits as quickly as you do with, say, a ChatGPT or a Anthropic or whatever it is.
Okay. To check all these things, also, do we need to pay for it or
No,
else?
no. The chat is free to use. If you're using the chat, you can kind of like
Okay,
set
you
it up
mean
so
to
that.
say only to consume the API calls, we need
Yes.
to pay for it, correct?
Of course, right? Because they're having to take care of the entire setting up your user access management, making sure that your API keys don't get compromised, setting up the entire servers for it. So it has to be monetized some way or the other, right?
So I think you can, why not you can share about the Grok as well, because that's totally free, and DeepSeek is also available over there, different Llama. So for the development purpose, I think I always prefer and always give the guidance and just advice, why not just use the Grok.
Grok is also, yes, another alternative. I have personally not used it because I think I started out by looking for Claude alternatives, which was not there on Grok at that point in time.
Okay.
But yeah, Grok is also another alternative.
Yeah. So as you can see on the screen, so you have the DeepSeek is already there. Okay, Gemma is there, Llama, Metas, all model, Mistral, OpenAI, some open source model. So DeepSeek R1 is there, and you don't have to worry about the pricing because that's totally free of cost. Go create the as you can see AI agent Twitter prod. So we are just using this one in our prod. So that's what. So if you go into the billing, so everything is free. There's only one thing that's limitation. But for the
Hmm.
project, for the learning, this is one of the best platform that I will prefer.
Okay, okay. I
One
mean,
of the
this is
best.
very informative, Deepak. I mean, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't think this is one thing is informative. I will share you one thing. I think that I give my most of the time to build this company, and this one resources is available where I have been personally go through the each step, and where you can build your GenAI solution step by step, like from the data
Nice.
sources
Is
proper.
there any predefined guidelines or steps that we need to follow of all these things?
No, 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 nothing. You can go on the platform, you can explore it. If you have any doubt, then you can talk to the Eco Deepak. If you want to talk to me, then you can talk to me as well.
This is
So,
actually very amazing.
yeah,
I mean, especially for people who are getting started, because let's say that you're working on some project that requires you to use a certain knowledge base for you to build whatever it is. Then
yeah,
here you can see Deepak has mentioned LangChain a lot over here. So then you can go ahead and actually figure out what is LangChain. For a layman, you would not have even known that this is for a knowledge based system over there, but he's
yeah,
actually done that job a lot easier for you by telling you what kind of libraries you need to use, like PyPDF and all of those.
yeah. So,
So this is
for
damn
the every
useful,
type of
Deepak.
the
Thank you so much.
every type of the document is available here. After the data pre-processing, cleaning. Now for splitting and chunking also, I just created the top methods that you can use it.
Nice.
Because people don't know. There's the
Yeah.
issue. For me, that's the issue. Everything is available. Yeah, everything is available. You have to go over there. That's it. For vector embedding, yeah, there's a lot of models. And if I bet you, if you will able to create the three projects using this particular resources, you are very much ahead with the, I think, 100K people in the market.
I'm going to use this too. I'm definitely going to go back and play
Yeah.
around
And
with the
one
resources
thing,
section. This is very informative.
yeah. And one thing that's the projects are available. You can go and projects. Now, one thing which is not available in the whole world, I bet everyone, which is prompt evaluator. Okay,
Interesting.
go on the prompt, problem description, evaluation criteria, and write your prompt. Okay, and this is like a lead code where we will give you the marks how well that you are writing your prompt.
Nice.
So, if you will able to make a good prompt, then only you will able to make a good GenAI solution or agents. As you can see
Absolutely.
on the screen, 40 marks. So I will go back to the problem. Okay, then I will do one more time. Okay, yeah, I will do this one. Okay, so that will increase my prompt style, how to approach. And here we are giving the proper things that, yeah, how to write a good prompt and what the techniques that you have to be learned. So I used the lead code when I was preparing for the Google interview. So from there that I thought it, we will soon integrate this one with the prompt, so people will able to know how to use the prompt, because like we are talking LLM is over there ideal state. If we will not give the prompt, there is no use of the any, totally no use of it. So that's what that we are trying to build, and we are trying to build something that will help the people. So yeah, that's and this is the Eco Deepak. So you can see how to implement. So there's a few people in today's like college lecture that has been done. So as you can see, people are just asking what are the pricing model that you which. So just we put the all data here, suggest me some open source. So this is a few things that people don't know. If you go into the chat, they will give a lot of data. So I limit my. So yeah, so for the small project you can use ChromaDB. For the larger one, VV8, Pinecone is there for the larger data. So people will able to know how to use it. As you can see the chatbot for the LangChain that you can use it. So all this like kind of the one-stop solution that we are trying to build. Hope it will help people. And
This
we
is
are also
amazing.
giving the surety of the job, like 100% job placement is there. So yeah, so that's what that we are doing.
Amazing. This is very useful resource. Definitely something
Yeah,
I'm going to go back and use. So
thank you. Yeah. So any other questions? Please go ahead. No questions. Hey. Okay, then. Thank you so much, Kamalika, and everyone for sharing the expertise and the content that you have been given. And I also learn about the open router from you today. To be honest with you, I also don't know about this. I'm going to explore it today itself after just
So
seeing this
Open
session.
Router also has a lot of the other premium models that are there. But
Mhm.
my only challenge with the premium models is while I'm okay to pay, $2,200, I'm not sure I'm gonna really be using that entire limit of that $200 that's there. So that's why kind of Open Router becomes a better alternative where I can use that same $200, top it up over here, but I will burn through it at a much slower rate because let's face it, none of us are using AI every single second, right? So the number of
Exactly.
tokens we use is going to be far lesser than what we actually top up every month. So that's kind of why I use Open Router, and it's at a usage basis. So every time you use it, if you run out of your credits, is when you have to top up again. I haven't topped up in the last 3 months, for example, and it's that same $30 or $40 that I topped up over here also.
That's great. That's great. So yeah, big thank to everyone. And I also want to ask, like, if anyone want to build any project for the collaboratively, we are happy to just. I think Kamalika, if you want, so we can talk later. So like
Absolutely.
anything that we want to be, because yeah, world is very small. We don't know
Absolutely.
how the things will work. So yeah. So thanks from my side. Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of the weekend.
Yeah, thank you both of you. For sharing your knowledge, and it's very informative.